What's up, everybody? What's going on? Today on Lead From Here, we're going to talk about managing through difficult times. This is not a fun conversation, but I feel like it's fairly appropriate for the time of the season we're in as a country right now, as a world, really. How do you manage through difficult times? Because you will hit them. If you've been in a company long enough, or you've been in a career long enough, you will come across, whether that's market or company or who knows? It could, your company gets acquired, your family's going through a death or a divorce, or or your community is dealing with a loss or tragedy of some sort. Like, there's a bunch of different ways that this can go south, and sometimes even in the best of companies, shit just goes bad, and there's really nothing you can do. Like, in a market downturn, there's literally nothing you can do. You just have to ride the storm and hope you were fiscally responsible enough as a company to get through the chaos that is a market downturn. So, as you go through these difficult times, what are some things to help kind of manage people through that? Because you're going to have a lot of people that are scared, a lot of people that are uncertain, a lot of people that, may want to jump ship, may want to get that confidence that, oh, my job's safe, right? Like, those are all things you really can't say, because nothing's guaranteed in this world. At any time, anything can go bad. At any time, a company could go under. It's not to say that any companies out there are at risk, but it's just, you as a leader should never try and guarantee, you're safe, don't worry. Like, it's just not a good look, because if you say that and it doesn't happen, because it's not in your control, ultimately, unless you're the CEO, then maybe if you want to do that, that's fine. But if you're not the CEO, you're not on the board, you really shouldn't be saying, well, you probably shouldn't say any of that, but ultimately you shouldn't be making guarantees. And so your goal as a leader in this situation is to walk the thin line of radical transparency. So there are ways to communicate things as effectively and clearly as possible without getting yourself or the company in trouble. Giving them enough information to show that, hey, I care, I understand, trying to give you as much as I possibly can to make you, have as much information to feel as good as you can in the situation we're in. That's really what the goal of a leader is just to give enough information to not get yourself in trouble, not say something you can't legally say, not say something that's going to get the company in trouble. As long as you're doing that and you're trying to share information as best you can in a safe manner, then you're doing what you can for your team, for your people. And that's really all you can do. Now, let's say the worst happens, right? Let's say a layoff happens. This is something that I think is ignored way too often in these scenarios, is when a layoff happens. Even if you're not the person laid off, your trust level goes through the floor. Nobody trusts a company that lays people off. It just doesn't. Like, not that it can't be rebuilt, but in that moment, there's no trust. And you are part of that company. And so you lost trust. You may lose trust in your leadership. You may not, depending on how high up you are. If you're in the C-suite, you probably don't, because you're part of that group and you understand it's just an inevitability. If you're not, you're probably dealing with some trust issues, but also people are not going to trust you because you've been giving them information and trying to settle their fears and say, like, hey, we're all in this together, all that good stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the layoff happened. People lost their jobs. So the trust is gone. So you really have to act in that manner and understanding and have empathy with that, like, hey, nobody trusts us right now. Nobody trusts that when we say, hey, this is the last layoff, we're good, we just had to get the numbers right. Nobody trusts that. People now are immediately in, like, fear mode. They're worried they're going to get laid off. They don't trust leadership. It's just part of the natural world order of layoffs. So you have to come at it with empathy and understand that things are going to slow down. You may think people are like, oh, I don't want to get laid off, so I'm going to work really hard, but it's like they're grieving the loss of their coworkers. They're grieving the loss of trust. They're going through a lot of things emotionally. And so you're probably going to see a little bit of a dip in work and throughput. You're going to see a little bit of dip in morale, and you can't rush that back. All you can do is continue with what you built originally, which is the trust you built, and try and rebuild that trust. It will take time. It will not be fast, but it's just part of the process. And if you try and rush that, pretend like it's not a thing, your trust is just going to keep lowering and lowering. Your team, you're going to lose your team. They're either going to leave or they're going to shut down on you, and then you're in a different kind of problem. So ultimately, the key is to be as transparent as possible, be empathetic to the situation, and just think about the realities of the situation that comes across, and make sure you keep that in the forefront of your mind when you're dealing with your people who are dealing with a lot of different emotions around the bad times. Could be personal life, could be layoffs, could be acquisition, could be going under, could be a lot of different things that people are dealing with. Maybe their family's dealing with stuff. Like, there's so many different things that can happen in a difficult times for a company or a country or a world in our current situation. So making sure that you're being empathetic to that helps you build that trust back faster, because people see that like you get it, you care, you do everything you said prior to the layoff, you've kept true to now. That's how you build a trusting team, and that's how you get back to effectiveness as fast as possible after dealing with the hard times. It's just simple as that. It's not super complicated, but that's what it is. So I appreciate everybody's time. If anybody has any questions or wants to dive into this topic deeper, hit me up, Jason@leadfromhere.co. And yeah, appreciate your time. Take care, everybody.